Hey guys, TM Gaouette here. So I just wanted to give you a sneak peek of the different titles that are included in my summer giveaway. As some of you know, I've asked you to go on to my Instagram page at TM Gaouette and just write Catholic fiction rocks under in the comments area, and then just tag three people, three teens, Catholic teens or parents of Catholic teens who you think would be interested in this giveaway. So I put that on my Instagram, and I'll be pulling the name of the person who the winner on September 1st. So I'm just going to go over all the different books that are included in the giveaway to just give you a sneak peek. This is The Destiny of Sunshine Ranch. It's actually my first novel that I had published in 2012, and this is the story of Benedict, who is in the foster care system and really struggled in there and ended up being moved from one home to another, and just had a hard time with that, but eventually moved to the Credence's house, that's the Sunshine Ranch, where David and Martha are in charge, and they have a bunch of other foster children there. So it's kind of like how that all comes about and all the different personalities. I'm going to read you the quick description on that. 10-year-old Benedict has been moved from one foster home to another, and he's hated everyone. When he arrives at Sunshine Ranch, he doesn't bother unpacking. What's the point? But his new foster parents and siblings are very different from what he's become used to. David and Martha Credence strive to instill love and Christian values in their family, and it inspires hope in each child. Benedict is not into religion, but Sunshine Ranch is the home he's secretly been yearning for. Still, he fears it's all just a little too good to be true, and his sentiments are validated when he learns that they may lose Sunshine Ranch. Can the Credence children help save the ranch? Will faith keep them together, or will Benedict's dream be shattered? The Destiny of Sunshine Ranch. That's the first one. The other ones that I'm including, and this is all these books will go to one winner, so I'm not doing a bunch of these, so it's just one lucky winner. I mean, lucky if you like the stories. If you don't like the stories, then you're not very lucky, are you? Okay, so this is the Faith in Kung Fu series. The first one is Freeing Tana Rose, Saving Faith, Guarding Aaron, and Loving Gabriel. And they basically center around the two main characters, who are Tana Rose and Gabriel Livingstone. So I'm going to read the first one for you. For Gabriel, Tana Rose is just a superficial starlet addicted to Hollywood. For Tana, Gabriel is just a boring kung fu loving Christian boy who's living a lackluster life in the middle of nowhere. So what happens when she's forced to live in his world? It doesn't take long before Tana Rose craves a taste of her own life, even if it means upsetting a few people along the way. She thrives in the spotlight, after all. Will Gabriel's faith encourage Tana to change her partying ways, or will her wild undertakings and addicting vices tempt him to do things he'd never ever considered before? So this is kind of like opposites coming together and butting heads, and it's just interesting to see the dynamics between the two different people from two different worlds. That's the first one, and it's a kung fu theme. The whole Faith in Kung Fu series is but basically just talks about, or features like different friends and situations that come about and living in the world, and how to deal with living in the world when you're trying to be strong in your faith. And so there is definitely a lot of internal struggle with all the different characters in there. That was the first one. The second one is Saving Faith. With Tana Rose gone, Gabriel's left to settle back into the God-devoted life he'd become so accustomed to, except that his best friend's sister, Faith, has decided that the life for the Lord is just way too confining. In an attempt to live a little, Faith focuses her interest on a handsome but worldly boy from her school who has major self-control issues in and out of the kung fu arena. When things get too deep for Faith, she looks to Gabriel for help. Can Gabriel save Faith from self-created destruction, or is he just too lost in his own worldly struggles to lend a hand? So this story is about Faith, one of their Christian friends, and her struggle with her faith, and how she tries to overcome that in the world. And she meets a worldly boy, and we see what worldly happenings happen and how things come about at the end of that one. And this is the third one, guarding Aaron. The world continues to press in on Gabriel Livingstone's quiet life when 15-year-old Aaron Buckley enters Young's martial arts studio looking to learn kung fu. Gabriel knows there's a desperate secret behind the boy's bruises and secretly vows to be his guard, with the help of his friend Christian. But when Tanner Rose pressures him for strength and direction, and Faith's continued rebellion sends him and his friends to the hospital, jeopardizing Tanner's career, Gabriel is forced to re-examine his decisions. Is he called to the priesthood, or is life behind the monastery walls merely an escape? So this one has a lot of vocational themes in it. So like the first one, I would say the themes kind of like temptation, overcoming temptation in the world. Saving Faith is about being, growing up in a Christian family and struggling with the faith. And this one it's got a bullying theme in this one, but it's also about vocation and friendships and loyalties and that kind of stuff. And then the final book in the series is Loving Gabriel. Truth comes to light and love is revealed when Tanner confesses her devotion to Gabriel, but when a former fling and co-star offers his assistance on her debut movie, he becomes a constant reminder of all the ways Tanner has messed up. Add a crazed kung fu rival, paparazzi on the prowl, and a controlling stage mom, and things get ugly fast. Can Gabriel and Tanner find truth in the chaos, or is their romance doomed before it's even begun? So this is the last in the series, and the whole series follows these two characters along with other situations that happen, other themes, and this is the last one. And we basically see what happens with Tanner and Gabriel, and the friendships and the vocations. Everything kind of wraps up for the most part in the last book in the series. The next book I have is For Eden's Sake. Now this is my pro-life novel, and I'm going to read you the description. Barely out of college, Isaac trades the quiet of his family ranch for the excitement of the big city with his dream job at an up-and-coming advertising agency, until his perfect new world is shattered by bad choices, a pretty girl, moments temptation, and late-night walk that quickly spirals out of control. Reeling with the horror of a mistake that can't be undone, Isaac struggles to get his soul in order. Can he forgive himself? Can he make things right with God? What about Rebecca? With both their lives desperately upended and life-changing consequences, no matter what they choose, Isaac must finally face a painful past and find the strength from God to do the right thing, and somehow convince Rebecca to do the same. So in this story, we have two POVs. We have Isaac, who is struggling with the fact that not only did he get himself in this situation, something he swore he'd never do, being a strong Christian, how could he do such a thing? And then having to deal with the girl who is very pro-choice, and having to convince her that their baby is a valuable life. So this is told from his perspective and her perspective. So we have the pro-life and the pro-choice kind of butting heads, and there's just like this trying to understand what it's like to be in both situations. Obviously, the pro-life situation is the right choice to make, to value the baby's life, but also trying to in the story we have Rebecca and we have her background and her situation and understanding why she feels the way she feels, and so on and so forth. So this is this one is kind of like a deep struggle, and it's a heartache for Isaac. And this story was actually endorsed by the civil rights evangelist Alveda C. King. She endorsed this novel, and so this is an important story, I think, for all Catholics to understand the pro-life reasoning, the pro-life belief system. The last of the stories with my title is Shadow Stalker. This is a novella, so it's not a full-length novel. It's a short novel. This one was based on a story that I'd written years and years and years ago. I actually called it Conscience, and I wrote it when I was back in the day when I was in the mood to just write a lot of short stories, and with deep meanings and things like that. And so when I first wrote this story, I was wondering what it would be like to. I'm trying to give you an understanding of where this story came from after watching a lot of news and listening to all the things that young kids or people did, abusing children all different ways, like in like foster care systems, and parents abusing children, or just people randomly, just the different ways you can hurt a child, just all these different ways. And it just killed me hearing these news stories about what people would do and think. Some people think that it was funny, like there's news stories about like making kids smoke stuff and all just horrible stories. Anyway, it really got to me, and I was thinking, how is a way that people like this can be punished? God is a merciful God, and there's a way that he can punish people mercifully. And how could God do something like that without doing something? And it came to me that maybe he finds a way that they punish themselves. And how would that happen? And I'm not going to go too deeply into it, but this is the story that I came up with. I came up with a story called Conscience. It was a short story, and I put it away. I had some friends read it, and they were like, "Oh, this is so great." And one friend was like, "You should write a story about this." And then I popped it out later, years later, or many years later. And the people who I had to read it then said, yeah, you should really write a story about this. So this is what I came up with, Shadow Stalker. And I'm going to read you the description. It all happened one morning. It was as if the world had gone mad. Well, maybe not the whole world, but enough of it to get noticed. People were waking up as if possessed, suffering souls resorting to tearing at their skin, crying out loud to no one in particular, haunted by a sudden internal torment that no one around them could decipher. For investigative reporter Elijah, this news story was way bigger than a scoop. Unless he could unmask the truth behind the madness, how could he stop it? Once and for all, and more urgent, how could he keep it from happening to him? So this is the story that came out of it. I'm not going to tell you too much because I don't want to give anything away, but this is a story about God's mercy, about reconciliation, about about forgiveness, and it's a I'm really happy with the way it came out, and I do hope a lot of people will read that eventually at some point. Okay, so the other things I'm giving away are copies of the Catholic Teen Books anthologies. The first one is Secrets, and this was the first one obviously we did, and the theme was secrets, and each story has to have a secret of some kind. And it's really fun doing these anthologies, being able to write a short story. I prefer short stories. All my novels are shorter. I think that is because I don't really have the patience to read too long of a novel. I just don't have the patience. I like to read it and and I'm one of these people who could probably read a book in a day. If it's really gets me, I would just want to read and get through the whole thing. I don't like to save it. I don't want to, I'm just going to make this last long. Nope. I want to read the whole thing and just be done with it and find out what happens. So anyway, this is the first, Secrets, Visible and Invisible, and my story in here is Sister Francesca, and it has 7 stories in it with the Secrets theme by Catholic Teen Books authors Corinna Turner, Cynthia Toney, Teresa Linden, Susan Peake, T.M. Gaouette, Carolyn Asfalk, and Leslie Wall. The second anthologies are Christmas Anthology, Gifts, Visible and Invisible, and it has the Christmas theme. And the authors of this, Susan Peake, Keith Jones, Carolyn Asfalk, Teresa Linden, Leslie Wall, Cynthia Toney, T.M. Gaouette, and Corinna Turner. This is our Christmas theme. 8 authors, 8 stories. Can't go wrong. Next one, St. Paddy's Day or St. Patrick's Day. This is the St. Patrick's Day theme. Authors in this story, or these stories, are Teresa Linden, Susan Peake, Anthony B. Kalenk, Amanda Lauer, Carolyn Asfalk, Leslie Wall, T.M. Gaouette, and Corinna Turner. And this one for gifts. My story in this one was just Jesus. And my story in this one here is In Mouth of Friend and Stranger. That's that one. The next one that we did was Ashes. This is our Lenten themed anthology. And this one has 10 authors in it. We've got Leslie Wall, Cynthia Toney, Marie Kaiser, Carolyn S. Falk, Amanda Lauer, Ellen Gable, Corinna Turner, Anthony Kalang, T.M. Gaouette, and Teresa Linden. And my story in this one, I have to always remind myself of my story names. Bread Alone. I wrote Bread Alone. That's my story in this one. And finally, the last in the anthology series is Shadows, Visible and Invisible. And Shadows has a Halloween or All Hallows Eve, actually Hallows Tide theme, because it can be All Hallows Eve, it can be All Saints Day, All Souls Day, any one of those. So the reason why I really wanted to do this themed one was because there's a lot of misconceptions about Halloween and what it's all about, and a lot of people use it for the wrong reasons, as you know. And Halloween or the whole Hallowtide is basically a Catholic holiday. So the Halloween, All Hallows Eve, All Saints Day, All Souls Day, they all belong to the Catholic, or they all are part of the Catholic faith and our belief system. So what we want to do is write an anthology with stories that really reflected what Halloween is really about, or Hallows Tide. What that's all about. You know, that it's not about creepy things and devilish things. It's not a day for the devil. It's not the devil's day. It's our day. It's Catholic's day, and it's for the souls that who have departed before us. It's for the saints. It's and so we just wanted to write stories that really reflect what it's all about, and that is in Shadows. So we have Halloween coming up soon, right? The year's going by so fast. It's already nearly the end of August. Halloween candy's already in the stores. So if you haven't got a copy of Shadows and you don't get this, don't win this, I really highly recommend that you get this book, Shadows, either for yourself or a teen or someone. In fact, I would obviously highly recommend that you get any of these books if you don't win the contest. But this one here, we've got Halloween coming up. Get the book. Oh, the other cool thing about this is we have a recipe in the back. We have the recipe for soul cakes. We also have prayers for souls in purgatory. And yeah, so that's that. So those are all the books. There are 12 books. One lucky winner. You have until I would say the end of August, and so you can go into my Instagram and you can just write Catholic Fiction Rocks at the bottom, tag 3 people, 3 Catholic teens or 3 people with Catholic teens in the family who you think would be interested. And you can also find, I think the post is also on the Catholic Teen Books Instagram page. So I just wanted to go over them with you. There's a lot of books there. I hope you go in there and sign up for them and that you win. And even if you don't win, like I said, I would really highly recommend a lot of these books. It's for you or to give as gifts. So that's basically it. All right. So yeah, that's it. Thanks for joining me, and sign up, and hopefully you'll win. All right. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.